Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another Honkai Star Rail reaction, or I guess set of reactions. This is the entire boss theme for Asat Pramad. I'm not sure what that's going to include or entail, but it was requested by Voltorian Games and quite a few people agreed, so I suppose I'm going to listen to it. Without further ado, let's go! That wasn't the sound I was expecting when I hit play. I'm sorry, is that man a hand? What? I really shouldn't act like I know what to expect out of this game. Especially with, like, this stuff I learned about elation, but... oh, it's got a really nice drive to it. Why is that? That reminds me of something. I'm not entirely sure what. It's a general vibe, though. Maybe a little bit synth-wavy. That's got a great kick to it. Oh shit, it's John Star Rail! I love this part. This is such a cool aesthetic in here. Ooh. There's something new. New phase, probably. Given the whole face splitting in half thing. Oh shit! It Vishnu! I mean... the visuals are definitely kind of obvious in that front, as is the music, but... that's not the only thing going on here, clearly. Ooh! Oh! Oh, the fact that it went dead silent right before that. Ooh. That is an insane synth. That is so wild for this. Jesus Christ! I'm sorry, I need a day off work. God threw a train at me. Now, how's it going to evolve into this next drop? Not complete silence that time. They let the reverb hang. Ooh. Great evolution for that choice there. Hey, I know that, asshole. What's up with that character and having to deal with gods being jerks? Is that just something you gotta deal with? Just par for the course? Okay. I know this motif. Cinematic variant. Okay, not quite. A little bit. Maybe it'll build into it. It definitely wants to. And with the power of friendship. Let's make it now. Ooh. Hey, vocals. Let's make it now. Ooh, and double time. Ooh. Let's make it now. All right. This is anime as hell now. I thought I recognized that voice. Yep, okay. It's kind of hard to miss, though, to be fair. This has been a very well-paced stitching of all these. Very interesting evolution going from where we were with the more traditional sound, kind of being blended into the electronica, and now we're here with like electronica pop punk. Interesting choice with the toms too. Not a bad choice, just kind of a very unique placement for some of those little, I guess you could call them fills. I might call them accents though. That fits better to me. Press X to kick ass. Oh no. Oh no, they hurt. That was a great, like, constant build-up on that melody there. It's got a great energy to it. This has such a good payoff. Jesus, that was a journey. That might be a contender for top, if not the best, like, multi-tiered, multi-phase boss theme I've heard yet. That was legitimately fantastic. So to kind of expand on my thoughts about where this song came from and where it ended up and why I love that transition, even though it kind of was like a false transition, I'll get into all that and what that means. But basically, this song started in a completely different area. It started with a lot more presence on the boss and a lot more focus on the boss. That makes plenty of sense. You're kind of fronting the boss, and of course they're going to be the ones that are in control of the music and the sound there, so that makes sense. The halftime especially, everything that was just kind of driving about this was very confident, and that's something that a boss would have, is this kind of earned confidence, even if it is misplaced depending on who they're fighting. In this case, obviously main characters, so not going to work out for the bosses in that case, but the confidence is there in the sound, and the fact that they were blending the electronic with this more traditional sound out of like Indian music and just trying to find somewhere between. It almost sounded like Tibetan in some spots too, so I'm not entirely sure what the actual like root of these bosses is. I'm assuming India based on the imagery, but there's a lot of stuff in the Middle East to like Far East that can kind of blend and homogenize based on religious values and principles. So I'm assuming a lot, but I also am not entirely sure because I'm not super well versed in the iconography of that part of the world. What I loved even more though is by the time we get to that second phase and more of the bosses show up, I'm not again sure if it's like the same person split into three. That would make sense too, given again some contextual relevance of where the basis of this character is from, but also it could be just different bosses acting as one. So regardless of what that situation is, the theme becoming even more confident was something I didn't expect, but they managed to make work in this sound. Like the fact that not only was it so confident, but the song ended and then came back in on a drop. That is a needle drop moment. That's something that is oozing in confidence. The fact that the song stopped and you didn't for a second think as a listener that the song was done. You thought it was going to be coming back. You could feel the intensity was still in there somewhere. The song ended with that intensity and you knew it was going to be coming back in. Not only because you knew the song was so long, but because you could feel that tension laying in wait for just a few measures until it kicked back in. And that was completely built upon by the later drop, kind of letting the resonant just die a little bit, and it just let the reverb hit and lay out. And it did really decay quite far. It didn't completely die out though. So that is an evolution from that confidence of now they're not letting it die. Some of that confidence might be decaying in itself. And that's a cool evolution of how this song is functioning in the story as well. It's just a lot, you know? This entire project, like I mentioned, story-wise is now one of my favorites based on what they were doing here and what they kept doing to evolve that sound and the story within it. Because we get that break in there, the characters go through their big main character moment, the power of friendship decides to rear its head, and they are going to become the winners of this battle per ex machina because it's a video game and that's just how things work. But I like that little interlude in there because it starts to move away from that other sound that we had, that confidence and the tones that we were hearing this entire time. Now the paradigm has shifted into the favor of the main characters, and they are going to be handling the music from here on out. And you could feel that transition very smoothly in that lull between where he's like running up that like light path, so to speak. And then when we get to that, it's Mika Kobayashi doing her thing over a pop punk anthem that just sounds badass as hell. Basically, you put Mika Kobayashi on anything, it's going to sound fantastic. She just has such a presence and power to her voice, but also the song itself was shifting that confidence. This is something I have talked about before in other boss themes from HSR, but for this one, it's just the presence of it all. The fact that they changed focus so aggressively and using that little bridge, which didn't have too much of that original sound. So it's almost like you handed the aux cord to somebody with a completely different feeling in their music and a different preference reference there, and that was just expelled in the latter part of this, where we had this big lifted theme. I love that they utilized for that bridge too a theme I have heard before, a theme that we've all heard before at this point, and it's just like, cool, now we have a connection to something else that's going to be making the song change in that power. That moment is that paradigm shift where suddenly you recognize something, that motif is brought in, and now you understand that this is in the other player's court at that point. So you're like, let's go, and it just brings you straight through. That latter bit, that last chunk, that song there, fucking great energy. Again, some odd choices for the drums there, having them in there for like those, again, what I wouldn't call fills so much as accent points, just very weird ones. They don't really feel like they belong there, but at the same time, you don't find yourself thinking it's incorrect either. I don't know what the value of having those little bits in there is. Maybe it's just to kind of break up the song a little bit more and add some more intense hits there to like kind of act as a bolster of sorts to the song and like make sure that the energy doesn't die, similar to what was happening earlier, because that confidence isn't fully there, but the intensity and power is. So they want to keep that going. Honestly, it could have just been something as simple as the composer thinking it sounded cool. Whatever the case may be, I kind of like that that's in there, despite being kind of confused by it when I heard it. I don't think it doesn't belong. It's just one of those odd choices. It's like a weird extra harmony where it's like, that doesn't really add much to the song, but if you take it away, suddenly you're like, oh, that sounds different, and you can't really put a finger on why. That's what that does for me. Great power, great shift of the paradigm in the fight here. I love how that worked. I didn't expect to like how they handled the transition from what it was to what it became, because that was a very different genre change, a very different focus. But having that bridge in there was a beautiful little split, and the fact that it did kind of like shut out the original before letting us in on the plan to come. And then when it really kicked in and Mika's voice hit, you were like, oh, here we go. And it just brought you straight to the end. Fantastic work. I mean, there's not too much I can do with music theory on this one, given how much sound there was going on in this. I would have to break it down into separate categories and like different parts, basically give each section its own focus as to why different parts worked here. But the overall is that the electronic parts were doing exactly what electronic music does, what dubstep does, which is aggressive tones, a lot of synthetic sounds that just grate against the ears, but also, if done well and balanced properly, like this song was, just sound powerful and omnipotent in a way which fits for what I can only assume to be gods. And then the pop punk, which is basically universally this like, let's fucking do this sort of anthem sound, this anthemic tone that follows that genre. And you have a voice like Mika Kobayashi, who's always sang with such power and conviction, and the chord progression being very lifting, the usual pop punk thing. Not a lot of pop punk is like written to be sad or like downtrodden. A lot of it has chord progressions that keep lifting up. That will be like 1-5, like a big leap between the chords within that key, and just keep bouncing between things in order to root it all back to the point. Every single section here just mirrors the characters and their emotions and their placement in the song so perfectly. So in the scene, they fit all that much better, and that's why I was able to follow it so well, and why it didn't seem like it was 10 minutes long. I really got about like what, by the time Mika's voice showed up, I was like, oh, we're near the end now. I didn't even realize that I had been listening to that much music up to that point because it was so well paced, which in a way is Pom Pom Workstation's doing. They edited this together pretty well, and despite there being some pretty obvious themes in there, I don't think any of that really got in the way of the flow of all the cutscenes and everything. They did a really good job there, and then the music just working so well with each other, and even with that bridge in there, them including that bridge made this entire thing narratively make more sense. If that wasn't there, I probably would have been more confused why there was this awkward gap in tone. I would have been able to figure out why that shift happened, but it was very nice to include that section there because it added that extra little bit of context to why that shift was happening, and that's just a nice thing to do. So good on Pom Pom's Workstation for including that. But as far as the music goes, it was doing its job, pushing as much as it needed to get as much as it could across, and it just sounded phenomenal. But I think I'm done yapping about it now, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you have another song from Honkai Star Rail you want me to get to, by all means, drop in the comments below, and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!